We have already been through the 10 enemies we think are the coolest in the series, and while there are a lot of them here, there are also a ton of weird enemies to fight.
We have already taken a look at the weirdest enemies in each game, but now we're gonna check out the 10 weirdest in the series.
By weird, we mean the enemies that look sort of odd or strange, and have the abilities that we just don't quite get.
For an enemy to make it on this list, it doesn't have to be weird in every game it appears in, but it certainly helps. Even if there's one incarnation of an enemy we find really weird, we might think that's enough. We're the owners of Triforce, I'm owner 2.
And I'm owner 1, and let us show you the 10 enemies in the series we find to be the weirdest. So this first enemy is one we can only find in MINISH-CAP.
While you're walking, wouldn't you find it weird that a masked yellow mole suddenly popped up from the ground with 4 more masked yellow moles stacked underneath?
Yeah, those are the ACRO-BANDITs. They did surprise us with their acrobatic skills, but it's pretty much a useless strategy to attack Link with.
They're killed very easily, and it's just funny and weird how they come out of nowhere and that we don't know anything more about these enemies. They just pop up fast and die just as quickly.
They look so silly, being such puny creatures towering up without being able to really do anything. They do look kinda adorable with that mask on, but they're still weird.
So, the Guais have been some very annoying enemies in 3D games. They first appeared in Ocarina of Time and have appeared in every 3D game except Wind Waker. They're really annoying with how they just fly towards you to attack if you're within their reach.
But nothing has been all that weird about them, except that they have really big beaks, which isn't bad at all really. The reason why we're putting this enemy on this list is because of what they do in Skyward Sword.
They do home in on you in the same way here, but the absolutely most absurd thing about them is how they actually crap on you.
Yep. Not only can they attack you, but they literally crap on you. You can see that the standard cartoon turd lands on your shoulder, with a green gas coming from it.
It even drains your stamina, so you have to shake it off before getting burnt out.
It's just so absurd and disgusting, and we never thought we'd see a bird, or any enemy for that matter, literally take a dump on you in a Zelda game. Spirit Tracks had quite a bit of weird enemies. Sure, some of them were also in Phantom Hourglass, but this one even had train enemies and stuff. The trains themselves aren't the ones appearing on this list, but you encounter the enemy while riding the train.
To enter the Fire Temple, you have to retrieve 3 keys. These keys are being held by these enemies called SNURGLE and SNURGLAR.
They are mostly just weird with their appearance. They are flying elephants that look really damn silly. We've always found the trunk of animals to be a really weird part of the body, and this is definitely no exception.
That they even have the ability to fly with their ears is also pretty special. Must have been inspired by Dumbo or something. They're very evasive, so you have to stun them with very loud noises, like with the train horn.
They don't really do a whole lot of weird stuff, except for flying with their ears, but they just have a really weird look.
In the Zelda series, we've seen humans, skeletons, lizards, statues, birds and other creatures carry a sword and shield. That's not too weird, is it?
Then how about a triangle-shaped gem carrying a sword and shield? Yeah, in Four Swords Adventures you find these enemies called a Force Soldier. In this game there are these things called Force Gems you can collect, and even compete against your friends next to you in collecting the most.
Among these Force Gems, there are fake ones that will draw a sword and a shield, and grow out hilariously silly looking legs. They don't even get a face or eyes, just a sword, shield and legs.
They fight like a regular enemy. But take one look at this one and tell us that they don't look weird at all.
Slimy enemies are not uncommon in a video game, and the Zelda series has at least 2 different versions. And since they're so similar and both pretty weird, we decided to put both the Buzz Blobs and Choo-Choos on this list.
The first one to appear between these two were the Buzz Blobs in A Link to the Past. Just some small, green, electrified goo people that wiggle around. They can be turned into Cukemen with an item like the magic powder, but then they sort of end up as a different enemy.
The bus blobs aren't the weirdest, as we find the different choo-choos to be even stranger. They are so freaking derpy looking with those huge eyes and somewhat smiling mouths in Wind Waker and MINISH-CAP, and the ones with spikes or a rock helmet don't make them look less weird either.
They are just hideous in Skyward Sword, and are just piles of slime in Twilight Princess. But the ones in Majora's Mask, they actually look a bit terrifying.
They just don't look right, at all.
You know what's weird? The Moldorm has existed in the series for a great while, even since A Link to the Past. Yet, it took us all the way until A Link Between Worlds before we finally included the classic form of them in a weirdest enemies list.
We do sort of think that the Moldorm in Four Swords looks a bit cool, but the rest of their appearances make them belong here on this list.
Their standard look is the worm consisting of 3 circles and googly eyes. They have always been weird with the random movement patterns, but those eyes is definitely a defining factor.
We especially think it's funny how they really pop out in the third dimension in A Link Between Worlds. They have appeared in many games and had different looks, and while some of them actually look decent, the one from Twilight Princess really looks like it's out of place, which is why we put it on the list from that game.
Well, it seems sort of fitting existing in Gerudo Desert and Arbiter's Grounds, among scarabs and such, but they really look like they belong in Metroid rather than Zelda.
So, even though the Moldorms have had different looks and shapes, most of them look weird. And that's why it's number 5 on our list.
In Ocarina of Time, we were introduced to a cool new type of bombs called BOMBCHUs. It's actually a really cool looking item and very useful. So, what the f*** were they thinking when they turned it into an enemy in Majora's Mask?
Just look at this monstrosity. If the face wasn't terrifying enough already, looking all like a freaky cartoon character, it's got a bomb on the end of its tail. Not just a round-shaped explosive, but a real bomb. Just like the ones you carry in your bag.
According to different Zelda wiki pages, the little rats or mice that throw bombs in Wind Waker, and the tiny blue explosive ones in Four Swords Adventures, are also called real BOMBCHUs. But we're counting the ones from Majora's Mask here.
They look absolutely insane. Not just from their faces, but also from their movements and how they can reach just about any place. They actually commit suicide while attacking as well, meaning that they never survive when they want to harm you. They are annoying as hell, but this is also one of the weirdest creatures we've ever seen in a video game. Twilight Princess had a bunch of really awesome looking enemies, and it surely was exciting taking those first steps into the huge open Hyrule field. What made the experience a bit weird? With the BOMSKITs around there.
Going out to the big overworld, we expected some epicness. We did end up getting it, but at the same time, the experience was sort of special when we stumbled upon these incredibly weird creatures.
The design of these enemies are just incredibly weird. It's got creepy eyes, an oddly shaped body, and a pair of very thin legs. They run in a very funny way, and they're not even aggressive. Instead of attacking, they run away.
But not without laying eggs, or whatever the heck they are, that explode. There's not a single thing about them that we don't find weird. The way it looks, the way it runs, the way it stops and looks from side to side, the way they lay freaking explosives. Twilight Princess really didn't disappoint when it came to the enemies, but this one really left us scratching our heads.
So, number 2 on our list is a really odd case. This isn't a recurring enemy, at all. This enemy exists only in one game, and there's only one of them in the entire game. It's a type of enemy that we've always questioned its existence and purpose.
In A Link to the Past, in the Light World, hovering above land right south of Lake Hylia, you find the OCTOBALLOON. This odd creature is just up there in the air, can't hurt you on contact, and explodes if you hit it with your sword. In fact, it'll explode no matter what after a few seconds.
And when it explodes, 6 little octoballoons come out and start bouncing around. They can hurt you, but they disappear after a few seconds as well. This just raises a lot of questions.
Why is it here when it can barely hurt us? Why does it explode so quickly? Why is it a freaking balloon? Why do the smaller ones disappear so fast? What is the point of this enemy?
Easy now on the one. Let's just guess that its purpose is to make it onto number 2 of our weirdest enemies list.
If you've seen our earlier videos on this topic, you might get confused on the order we've made here, because this enemy was below another one here on this list. But at this moment, we've agreed that this is the weirdest enemy in the series. I mean, seriously, what was your reaction when you were walking towards Arcana Canyon and you got to see this?
The Negirons in Majora's Mask look and act really weird. First of all, they actually look like mutated forms of Gorons. Maybe the scientists in Great Bay experimented on something else than just the Sora eggs?
They're all packed up with their arms around their legs, and those eyes actually freak us out a bit.
Their attack is to roll at you, and there's no kidding when Tattle says that they smell of gunpowder, because they will explode if attacked.
What is it with the enemies and explosions anyway?
Many of them come out of the ground in a very short time, and when they stare like that at you while grunting before they start rolling, we get a bit uneasy. They just look so freaky and disfigured. Seriously, are they really mutated from Gorons? It sure looks like it.
So, that was our list of the 10 weirdest enemies in the series. We'd appreciate it if you would leave us a comment with your own opinion on these enemies, and of course which ones you think are the weirdest. And hey, if you like this video, then why not give it a thumbs up?
As for our next video, we will do a ranking for the first time since we stopped making videos from each game, and we will even have our first ranking ever when it comes to themes, as we will put together a list of all title themes in the series. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.